the MLB season. I mean, it's over, essentially, and it's over for our Mets. There's no question about that. They are not getting into this playoff kind of tournament. So it's going to be interesting for the Yankees because they'll most likely start off with the Twins.
Or the White Sox. There's a half game in between those two.
Yeah, so it could be one of the two. I'd rather see them play the Twins than the White Sox. I mean, the White Sox, man, sure. They're loaded. They got MVP candidates, two of them for that matter. So I don't know. It's interesting that the 60-game season's over, essentially. Think about that. I mean, how fast this has gone. And think about where we were back when they shut down spring training, back when they shut down the NHL and the NBA, back when there were questions about the NFL and college football. Notre Dame has now canceled a game because they have 7 students that came down with COVID-19. So, things are moving forward. However, people are reacting, I think, in the appropriate ways if something does happen. The baseball players will end up starting going into a bubble now starting Wednesday. And when the playoffs start, if you go start to finish, I think it's going to be 50 days for those teams that get put into that bubble. And if they get all the way to the World Series, they'll be gone for 50 days. So like the Islanders, who were gone 55 days, and they made it obviously to the conference final, these players will have to suck it up, and they'll have to go into the bubble, and they'll have to just play baseball and be as safe as they possibly can. So, but the baseball season's over. It's just amazing that we're almost done with hockey. We have the finals still to go. Obviously, the 2 conference finals right now are underway in the NBA. Baseball's over, and then we get to football. And now contingency plans in football are being made for the Super Bowl to hopefully protect it, and hopefully we'll be able to play. And the good news is that Monday Night Football between the Raiders and the Saints was a very highly rated game. So the viewers are coming back. This week on CBS, we have the Raiders at the Patriots, which will also be a very interesting game anytime John Gruden's involved, going back to Gillette Stadium, site of the infamous tuck rule. Is always
that a 4:25 window game, Boomer? Is that what that is?
Yeah, yeah.
That's a big one.
Right.
You guys going to get a big number for that one.
And thank God. And thank God they were over.
You had Lakers Nuggets, and thank goodness the Nuggets got back in the mix there.
Those games start so late, man. I can't. I have to get up and watch the highlights of those games.
And here's the thing for me, the NBA is the thing that I've paid attention to the least during this time. Now, we've paid attention to it. We've talked about it. We'll watch the games. We'll watch the highlights, even if we don't watch the entire game. But for us, it's been Jets, Giants, Mets, Yankees, Islanders, and local basketball really hasn't been a thing. So with everything going on, and golf, we've talked a ton of that. If you think about that, something has to go. Something has to be the thing when you prioritize. So, I mean, the NBA for me has been harder to get into than the other stuff because there's just – I do like the Nuggets. I do like that story. And I thought I was going to be about the Lakers because of the Kobe thing, but so much stuff has happened since then that it's almost like I've forgotten about that storyline. And I'd like to see the Nuggets. I've fallen in love with the Nuggets a little bit, so I want to see them go to the finals. But, I mean, you can't watch everything all the time. And plus, I got to get the sex cult documentaries in there. I got to watch a little Love Island on CBS. I got to get in the mix with these other things. I got to watch this Challenger documentary. I saw the Social Dilemma. I want to talk about that with you, about social media, all these things. You got to work in everything. Sometimes things fall to the wayside. It's okay.
We have gone from March, April, May, and June having nothing.
Right. Having
basically July, August, and September now having everything. And it's been incredible, actually. It's been a lot of fun. I mean, I much prefer it this way. And now you have, like, the NHL and the NBA have got to figure out, okay, how are they going to restart their next seasons? And when are those seasons going to start? And, that's the big question surrounding, Gary Bettman and Adam Silver. Are we going to wait until January? Or are we going to try to, to me, I kind of feel like the NHL is so dependent on fans being in their buildings. I don't see how they could start the season before January 1st.
Dependent in what way? Financially?
Financially, 100% financially. It's the one league, I mean, look, they all are dependent on fans. There's no question about it. Baseball is to the regional sport that it is and the amount of games that they normally play. But hockey, really, I mean, hockey is about the 20,000 fans that come and see their teams pretty much almost in every building. Almost in every building, it's sold out. And there's a hockey, hotbed of fan base that will spend the money around their teams when they go to their stadiums. And that's probably, to me, the biggest thing that Gary Bettman and even Adam Silver for the NBA, because they do play 82 games as well, that's going to be the question. When can we get our fans back into the stands? Because the revenue, especially for hockey, is so important. I mean, football, look, you have a 75,000-seat stadium. You got 10 home games when you do have 2 preseason games. You want that revenue. You need the revenue, and you share that revenue with the team that you're playing against. But, you can kind of get by for a year with your local sponsorships and your local advertising, and then, of course, with all the national TV. And the good news is that Raider Nation rose on Monday night, and the Saints at the Raiders in Las Vegas. I wish there were fans there. It would have been a madhouse. It would have looked great on television. But they had the highest rating since 2018. It was a 10.6, 18 share, and that's a big number. That is a really big number for Monday Night Football on ESPN. So if it trends that way, and we get compelling games, and we have stars playing well. And we have games like we had like in week 1 and week 2 where there's a lot of points being scored, with the exception of the Jets and the Giants, who are scoring very little points, 2 of the worst scoring teams in the league. It's going to remain highly interesting. And this week you have, obviously on Monday night, you have Kansas City at Baltimore. That's a huge game that's going to have huge interest as well. So all good. I mean, the problem is Thursday night, it's Miami at Jacksonville at Miami, I believe. So right. That may not garner the ratings.
Yeah, unless you get a surprise Tua start, which you're not going to get because the game's tomorrow. We haven't heard a thing about that. It's not going to be all that interesting. You mentioned the Jets and the Giants and the points in the NFL. I mean, it really is true. It's 2 different leagues. For those of us who pay attention to the Jets and Giants on a weekly basis, and it's most of our audience and, of course, all of us on the show, if you're locked into that game, and then you have Sunday Ticket or the Red Zone, and you flip over to that in a commercial break, and you watch the rest of the NFL, that isn't the Jets and Giants. And the Giants have shown some fight. We've been positive about them. But still, I mean, it's not like they've scored a ton of points. It's a totally different game. Totally different game. Speed-wise, just pace, exciting plays, down the field. It's just a different game. And this is another year that it's going to be like that. And maybe the Giants win a game against the banged-up 49ers and can surprise a little bit. I wouldn't think that that's totally out of the question, but who the hell knows with the Jets. And I did see, I was tagged in something this morning on Instagram, and if you want to follow any of us on Instagram, you can find us on there. I know Al's Boring Picks, GOWFAN. Boomer, I don't know if he's really on the Instagram, but someone tagged me in this, and they're having and it seems to be getting somewhat of a following and a response. I don't know if you saw this morning, Al. It's the Fire Adam Gase protest that will be happening on Thursday, which would be tomorrow at Florham Park. And all diehard Jet fans gather in front of the Jets training facility at Thursday at 1 to voice their suffering. So please wear masks and proper social distancing measures will be in place. But this is the thing that I was tagged in, and it's got 1,500 likes already, so it's getting a little bit of traction there. So the Jet fans are going to get together in a pandemic and scream outside of the practice facility to get rid of a head coach who's got 2.5 years left on his contract after an 0-2 start. So things are going great over there. For the New York Jets. We've seen all sorts of stuff. We've seen planes with fire the general manager. We have now seen a gathering in a pandemic, or we will see potentially on Thursday to fire the coach. Things are just wonderful over there. So maybe they get, now that the Jets, and I mentioned this, they get a heads up on this, they can maybe disperse the crowd very quickly, or maybe we'll have a tear gas situation on our hands.
No, either that, you can shoot rubber bullets at them and bounce off the fans anyway. But, it is something. The Giants are averaging less than the Jets when it comes to points per game, but they're both 32nd. The Giants are 32nd in the league points per game. The Jets are 31st.
Awesome.
And look, I'm not into all these, fire this one, fire that one. you have to let the season play out. You gotta get through it. There's a general malaise around the Jets. There's no question about that. At least, as you said, the Giants are fighting. But I mean, like, look, they're going into Indianapolis this week. Indianapolis just drilled your team. You watched that game, a lot of it. I only watched half of it. Look, it's not an easy spot for the Jets this week. We can be talking about it all again next week, just like we have been this week.
Yeah, the Vikings kind of are similar to the Jets in this way, is they don't have a unit that's any good. Like, their run game stinks, their passing game stinks. Their run defense stinks, their pass defense stinks. You could do whatever you want to the Minnesota Vikings on either side of the ball right now, which is sort of what the Jets are. So the Colts are going to see a similar situation and a similar team in this game, and I think that their defense and the way that it played against the Minnesota Vikings could be very similar. I mean, I think that you could see a really, really bad day from Sam Darnold again. And speaking of the Jets and something positive, did you see the Brian Baldinger breakdown of Mekhi Becton?
Yeah,
did you check this out?
Yes, I did.
He did 5.5 minutes, and Brian Baldinger, I think, is a guy we both respect and is a football guy that we like, and he knows what he's talking about. He's not some schlub who's going to throw stuff out there that doesn't mean anything. He's not a Skip Bayless. He's not a Stephen A. Smith. He's a football guy who watches film. He's a film football guy. And he did 5.5 minutes, a Baldy breakdown on Mekhi Becton and how much of an ass kicker he is. And he said he's the league's best rookie. He's the best player on the Jets. And he put together all this video, and it's hard to argue. All stuff that you would miss during the course of a game you wouldn't really see. Him pancaking people, throwing people around. No one's getting near the quarterback. So it seems like that this guy is really on the right track, which is an awesome thing to have as a left tackle who's a rookie. So there's your positive Jets thing for the day. Go check that out if you haven't seen it yet with Brian Baldinger. If you're looking for a morsel of something good with the Jets, you got it with Mekhi Becton.
Well, maybe you get the first-round draft pick right. And also, it looks like, I guess, Costello was writing yesterday that, Quinnen Williams is actually starting to come on as well. So maybe he's maturing and growing up a little bit, too. So there is some good news there. The one thing I will say, and I know this from playing with one of the greatest, if not the greatest left tackle of all time, if you have that guy on your line, he will make everybody else better. I don't care what you say. And he'll do that because, you call him the eraser. He handles his guy one-on-one, no problem, and then you could double team, or if you have to slide the line one way or the other way to pick up other potential problems on the defense, you can do that. And we were able to do that for years with Anthony Munoz. And I'm not saying that Mekhi's Anthony Munoz just yet, but if he's on this trajectory and showing that he can actually belong in the NFL and is going to be a force, that's going to be great for Adam Gase or whoever's coaching this team, in the next year or two. So, Adam Gase is up against it right now. And, you could feel it. You could feel the winds of you could just feel the whole kind of thing changing. I know that there were a lot of people that were unhappy about Adam coming into the season. He's only done, and they've only done what is obvious to all of us. They've enhanced that intensity when it comes to Adam Gase and what's going on. So they have to get out of this general malaise. And again, I go back to the fact that you have no fans, and no fans means you have to generate your own emotion. And
you know what? It might be Mekhi Becton, because there's part of this video where he pancakes a guy. He takes a guy, he blocks him, a grown man, into the ground within 5 seconds, turns to the sideline and says, "Run behind me." That's what he's doing. He's pointing at the ground to the guy that he just threw to the ground.
Right. Well, so maybe
you can
him.
see him going, "Run behind me." I think it might be him. He might be the guy. He might be that alpha male.
I mean, it's hard to say that after 2 games that guy has got to be your energy, which is really sad, honestly.
Hey. Yeah, I guess, but at the same time, it's a great thing that he's your first-round pick and he's there and he's an ass kicker.
It's a weird thing. Think Monday night, Kansas City at Baltimore. Just think like the Saints at the Raiders on Monday night in Las Vegas, and there's no fans there, and it's like Bill Belichick said after week 1. It's like practice. It's like a scrimmage. It's like like an inter squad scrimmage with a team that we've practiced with for the last week. It's got to be the weirdest situation playing in these cavernous stadiums with nobody around. It's just got to be totally crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, Tampa Bay had 1 fan.
Yeah, that's right. Brett Favre.
Brett Favre showed up for the game. They let him in the stadium.
Yeah, I guess that was some sort of controversy where family members said, how could Brett Favre be here and not us? I don't understand. Brett Favre, I guess, is filming some sort of documentary or something. I don't know. Brett Favre gets himself in a lot of weird trouble, like strange controversies. I mean, think about it. So he got himself in the strange controversy when he recorded that message for the neo-Nazi group. Then he got into a strange controversy when he ended up taking public funds for speeches he didn't make for organizations. And then he ended up getting in trouble for this, showing up at a game during a pandemic when family members weren't allowed to show up. He's like in weird places at odd times and then makes kind of these strange headlines. So.
Well, he also took a picture of his junk and sent it to somebody, too.
Oh, yes, he did do that. That was a while ago.
When he took
a picture of his penis. Yep.
Yeah, I don't understand that. It's just it's a weird deal. I did I was doing a kind of a documentary. I guess it's a documentary or a show for NFL Films yesterday. I was out at Eisenhower Park out there in Long Island, and I had to do a show on the bias against lefties in the NFL, especially obviously those of us who have played quarterback. There's only one lefty quarterback right now in the NFL, and he's not even playing, but eventually he will, and his name's Tua Tagovailoa. And so I did a whole thing for lefty quarterbacks for NFL Films yesterday.
Nice. That's great. So that's what it's called, the bias against.
Well, yeah, there's a lefty bias. There's that we call it a left-judice. As opposed to prejudice, we call it left-judice.
Right.
And, it's everything from scissors to, I guess can openers and everything else, right-handed desks in high school, all that kind of crap. And all those things that we've had to deal with. You had to play a guitar upside down. It's just ridiculous.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the red bell so you're notified when we have new content.